I'm doing this. I'm actually going to do this. Okay. I'll be out where nobody knows. I'll be out where the wildflowers grow. Also, would start off by saying that this video is 5 years late. I tried to speak about this topic in a more public setting, if you will, before. It was just as soon as and also a little bit before, like spiritual TikTok, spiritual YouTube all took off. I think I was definitely supposed to be one of those people. I avoided it. I avoided that growth, and I went down a different path. So it's about 5 years later, and I don't think it's too late. I think it definitely will be beneficial, not only for me but other people. But it does feel like a little bit of catch up. But I can feel my throat tightening a bit. So it's definitely something I still deserve to release. And during this video, you can also maybe think on things are what are experiences that cause shame for you, and where is that wound? Where is it stored? Because mine is well, actually, it caused a few different wounds, but like the main trauma point was sexual, so it's in the lower chakra, and that's where the wound, like the energy is stored, the block. And when we heal, we get to release that. But we also, knowing where something is stored, like I'll include photos and stuff and insert that, but each chakra point, depending on what the wound is, it will store itself in those points. And our energy is like a swirl, much like the medicine symbol, really. And the chakra points are in different ones, but we can't rotate our energy properly through them. We can't cycle the energy through that because of the wounds. So that's ultimately what healing is about, right? Getting back to that, or becoming that, just like free flowing energy. So yeah, which I did, being able to feel and identify which chakra point, where the pain is located, the wound, so that you can help yourself identify what exactly are your triggers, what's causing them, because sometimes we forget our trauma. Sometimes we put it away, right? So when we're children, we only have had so many experiences, and the older you get, the more you get filled up, right? So you can forget things. And just being able to survive past those points, right? You put them away somewhere. So that's a helpful tip, is feeling in your bodies, where, when you think of these certain events, or if they're coming up, you're like, where is that? Why is that pain there? And where is it located? Then depending if it's sexual or a heart wound, you'll feel in different areas, and then it will help you identify exactly what a wound is being triggered and what event that was, so that you can help yourself through that. So yeah, being able to pinpoint, locate, and feel where the pain/wound experience is located helps being able to help heal that wound. So before I get right into the story of my experience, I just kind of wanted to express why I'm doing this. So the purpose of today's video is somewhat self-serving, though I do really hope it, me speaking on it does help other people. I hope me standing in my power and vocalizing my experience helps other people be able to do that too, and not carry shame or not carry a silent voice. Because this is going to be very public, and I'm still nervous about it. It's probably why it's hesitant. It's why it's already 7 minutes long. why I had to write things down. Because the truth is that event changed me. It changed who I could have been. It changed how I struggled. It changed how I perceived things. It changed my emotional ability. You know, there's other events I experienced too, but like imagine being like 7, 8 and being just depressed. Like, you know, you're just not, you're not like other kids. And if you're not like other kids to begin with, like you just can't really relate to anyone. And just being it's very isolating. It's very lonely. That's like big things that like not even adults know how to deal with, let alone a child. And in your own family, like that. Let's be honest. I think there's an added layer when you are abused by family, because who do you go to, right? Who else do you go to? I'm doing this for her, for my child self, you know. She didn't need to become the person she did for a while, you know, like I didn't. And it's so young, you just kind of keep going just to make it through till you're an adult and can ultimately have control over your life, right? But it doesn't mean that it's easy now, because suddenly you have all this shit you have to deal with, and you don't you know, so long back that it's like, what? Why is this coming up now? Like, why can't I just go and be a regular person? Oh, sorry, trauma. Like, no. So I'm doing it for her. You know, for the child who was not protected, validated, who's not seen or heard, who wasn't allowed to. So she deserves it, and I'm doing it for her. I'm gonna cry. Yeah, and I know I'm not the only one. It's also with healing, it's important that, like, I know I'm not going to get the validation from the person that abused me, or even other my family members. I'm not going to get the validation from those people, because then they'd have to look at themselves, right? Like, they'd have to be like, oh, they'd have to take responsibility is really what it is. They'd have to take responsibility and heal themselves, because someone who is healed and like at a highest level of self would never allow something to happen, or you know what I mean? Or if something did happen, it wouldn't have just gone unknown, unheard, unseen. You know, there would have been consequences and actions, right? Actually, both my parents were sexually abused. I don't know what to degree, but by their uncles, so family members. My case is unique because it was my cousin. It was also a fellow child. So, and technically, actually, he was 5 months younger than me. And I also thought about telling this story back when Kiki Palmer brought it up, about how, you know, sometimes predators are also children, our fellow children. So she didn't go into details about her experience, but I'm going to go into mine a bit, to whatever feels comfortable. And yeah, it's true. I add another element, right? It's not like it's this big scary man or this crazy like random person, or even like it was a fellow child, so you think that you're like somewhat cohesive, like somewhat it's your fault, because you know you weren't told that other children, especially your own cousin, could be someone that hurts you, right? Or that's not the vision you were given of a monster, right? Or yeah, predator. So yeah, I think trying to get validation, which we often try to do, it can, in many ways, it's just torturous trying to get validation from other people in order to heal. You really have to just be that person for yourself and be like, you know what, it's okay if I never get, in some cases, depending, it's okay if I never get that validation from other people, being like, that was wrong, I'm so sorry, that apology, that healing hug, whatever it is, that day where I don't know, you punch them or whatever in the face, like, you might not get those moments, and sometimes those moments aren't even that healing, because it would take a really advanced person to be able to do that for someone else, especially someone that did such an act. So, and you deserve it. You deserve to heal. I deserve to heal. So really, I think that's the theme of this era that humanity's in, is just empowering yourself, being your own hero, being there for yourself, healing yourself, realizing how powerful you are and how much you are able to sustain yourself, like an individual experience. Like, as scary it is to be all alone, like, you really are everything you need. The whole universe, God, everything is already within your heart. And like, I do think almost every wound does go back to the heart. Like, I feel like the heart initiates something, and it like goes up into your brain. Even though this wound is a sexual wound, it did also hurt my heart, and it goes up and then it needs to come out right of the throat, and that's for me a big blockage point right here. So that's also why I'm talking about it, even if I don't like how the video looks, or even if I don't like how I orchestrated or like verbalized it, because I know I'm like a bit stuttery and not exactly, it's not beautifully, I don't know even know the word, not performed, but yeah. Anyways, so yeah, that's the big point of talking about traumas. And I have quite a few, actually I have a few I'd like to also talk about, because I think they kind of all are around the same age. Yeah, and I think the point of healing and doing the hard work of looking at your wounds and yourself is to be able to get back to myself. Not necessarily the version of who I was before, because I can never be that person. I was just so bold and ambitious, and so like as a child, like just so like no one would get away with shit, like in a good way, like, you know, Xena Warrior Princess way, like just. And I didn't get to, there was a big period of time where I didn't get to be that person anymore, because just experience after experience really just bogs you down into really a shell of yourself, a survival part of yourself, or like an overactive part of yourself when you become a teenager or whatever. But yeah, I'm doing this to get, to be back to yourself, back to a place where you can hold peace, and other positive energies, where, and for the most part, this is not something I live with anymore, but I haven't been able to verbalize it. Like, I haven't vocalized this, and I think that's why I'm doing this now, because I think that will be really healing, especially putting this on the internet. Yeah, so vocalizing it will be a big part, because I feel like I don't want to carry this anymore. Like, it's not me, it's not my shame. Like, this is an experience I had. The shame belongs with the people that cause the wounds, not the people they happen to. And I want it out of my bodies. I want it out of my bodies, and that's that. I don't think I'm gonna go over to, I don't really speak with my families too much anymore, even though we're very close proximity, like very close proximity. I just, if the moment came up and there was a moment where I was like, blah blah, or you're a blah blah, maybe. But I also, like I said, peace is the main point. Peace. So maybe I think this is enough for me to just have that moment, because you never know, someone could be like, I saw your video, and that's scary, right? Like, oh, you know that about me. But it's like, yeah, and someone might be like, me too, right? And I think that's also the main point, is just not being alone, and knowing you're not alone. Like, I know this is an experience that so many other people have experienced, and it's not okay. And just like, it doesn't have to keep happening. And people don't have to be ashamed, because there's nothing to be ashamed about. You didn't have a choice when, you know, like you weren't someone who embodied darkness just because something dark happened to you, right? So yeah, and it's also going to heal from other lifetimes where I didn't get to use my voice, or I was punished for using my voice, right? That's also going to be helpful. And anyways, I'm just going to talk about as much as I feel I can, and then at the end of the video I'm going to also have like signs and preventatives, because there's definitely, and it's not necessarily the child, but there are signs that this has happened to, but it's really especially in close proximity, like family members and stuff, like their behavior that's changed, and where you're like, they didn't used to act like that, now they're acting this differently around my child, or something like that. Anyways, I'll do that at the end. So yeah, this is my truth. When I was about 7 years old, so yeah, my cousin lived about an hour away in the city, and I lived more rurally at my grandparents' property mostly. It was very large, so I mostly had a lot of time just out in nature, which was really good for me. My cousins, I was still definitely emotionally neglected. My parents were quite young when they had me, just very neglected, and it was very obvious that like they would rather be doing other things than, so it's very like in the room but like not, you know what I mean, type of thing, or I had to do things alone or be alone. So there was that aspect, but because I had nature, it was less lonely. Like it's more of a natural connection, and I thank God I had nature all around me, and trees and forests, even though I was very sad and lonely at different times, especially after this. But like my cousins grew up much more just faster paced, just different, you know, violent video games, different, just all violent movies, like things I would have never even known of, they had already seen, you know, just it for context of like different life. Anyways, so I definitely grew up more rurally, and also another point I'd like to make is why I also found it easier to forgive my cousin is because I do suspect that he was, and I'm not going to say too much because it's not my story to tell, I do think he was sexually abused by a predator in the neighborhood. He was allowed to go, because I had an experience where he had took me to this guy's house, and he said that how he, you know, he's gonna buy him and his friends all these stuff, and I just, even at like 6 or whatever, 7, it could have been the earlier in the year, I was like, don't go, I think he's bad, and like I warned him, but and just like I'm very intuitive, and especially as a child, like it just, anyways, I think something might have happened, and I think after that's when he started abusing me, because I think that's happens with abuse, right? You especially when you're at an age, especially as a child, but like adults do all the time, they try to like people try to pass off their trauma onto other people, like they want to get rid of it. That is the natural response, is to get this out, because it's not healthy, it's like not aligned, it's that energy is not aligned. The chakras don't, like that's why things keep coming up, our memories or like triggers, because your body wants to get it out. The chakras want to run functionally, and they want that out. And some people do that by either, this is why people self-harm with drugs, alcohol, physical wound, whatever they do, even talking bad to yourself. But some people, they'll hurt other people. I just feel like those are the two different routes people take. They either self-harm or they harm other people. So anyways, yeah, we're about 7, and yeah, like I said, he's 5 months younger than me. But that's how I was able to forgive him, is because yeah, he was a child too. And even though he's not someone I would hang out with as an adult, I don't go to dinners, I don't go to any type of family event. I don't want to, and I don't have to. I don't have to tell anyone why either. It's not someone I'd want to be around as an adult. anyways, we were quite close when we were younger. We're both spectrum-y. He was definitely more aggressive. Again, I think he would have had a very different life if he grew up in the forest like I did versus the city and just the lifestyle. But he would, I don't remember how, we didn't see each other that often, but I would definitely like different holidays or birthdays. So I'm maybe a weekend here and there. So he started visiting every time he just started showing more interest in me. Whereas before, like when we were really young, like 3 to 5, or before school age, we would hang out and we're quite close. But then it starts like, oh, you're a girl, or like whatever they come up with. Not cool enough, blah blah blah. Then I started to want to like hang out, like, and excited to see me, and like obviously that feels good, especially as a child that's emotionally neglected and physically neglected. Not necessarily like well-being, but like I was alone a lot. Sorry, there's ants crawling on me. I'm in a field, but yeah. So yeah, there was like a part of the woods, not even that far from the house. Honestly, we really were not. And he started with wanting to like kiss, and I was like, what? First of all, and also I'm like 7. I know I never even movies kissing, gross. Like, was it because they were heteros? Maybe, but it just like that was not in my. He was just very adamant I wanted to do that, and you'd ask me questions about like sex and stuff, and I didn't know anything about that, and he was just like telling me, because his parents I guess already told him, and this is obviously intercourse, but like that's what happens. He say when you grow up, like a man puts his penis in a vagina, whatever. Like he was just very like, and I was just like, why are we like, what? Like the kissing, it feels weird. Like you don't know it feels bad, but it doesn't feel like, oh, someone cutting your arm. It doesn't feel like that. It just feels weird, and you don't know what that weird wrong feeling is. Like, so I think we would kiss sometimes, and they would make fun, like especially my aunt, his mom would make fun of, oh, kissing cousins, and I know that made my mom uncomfortable because she was also someone that was sexually abused, right? And I was like, but she wouldn't say anything, and I think it's just because she hadn't healed yet, right? She didn't yeah. So it started like with that a few times, and then eventually it would move to like him wanting me to do like oral stuff, and I was like, I don't like this is gross. And then for me to feel like I wanted my power back, I was like, well, then you have to do it to me if I'm going to do it to you, because there was a part of me that was like, hey, he wants to, it's not attention, but it's like, hey, he sees me, like he thinks I'm worthy to be like someone else. Like that's what happens when you neglect your children, when you're always like, go away, go away, go away, right? Like they take it as, I'm not worthy, I'm not wanted, because that's exactly kind of what you're doing. I know we all need a break. I'm having a break from my child right now, but that's really the message that they're getting. So yeah, so that happened a couple times, and then I really think this was only a very short period of time. I remember the kissing more, and then we were like in our little fort area. It's really not even, it's not even that private. Like if like the parents are like inside, they cannot see us outside at all, but like it's really not even that far. I just can't imagine. Anyways, and then one time I think he was just telling me that we had to do that. Like he might have asked me, but I was like, I don't think that's right. Like and he just kept like pestering me, and he just said like and yeah, he wanted to have intercourse, and I didn't even know what that was. Like I didn't even know. I'm just, yeah, like it was, I'm trying to go back into that time frame so that I can feel it and really release this, because yeah, I'll go there. Yeah, I think there was a bit of panic, and like probably a sign of curiosity. It's like he was 6 months younger than me, but he was very strong. Like boys with ADHD, man, they can be quite violent if like it's very different with girls with ADHD. Yeah, and I think I laid down. He told me to lay down, and I did, and I took my pants down, and I remember him not being able to find it. That's what he said. And I just remember feeling so anxious, and like, that's like, now I know my guides are like, no, like, that's what that feeling is like, no, this is not okay. And I knew as soon as he did rape me, which would be intercourse, I guess, I just felt the wound set off. Like, it was just like, yeah, it's not like it was the most horrendous pain in the world, but there was like just the wound, like, you're like, now you're wounded, like, and it's devastating and horrifying and scary. And I just started screaming, and I was like, get off, like, I'm gonna, and he's just like, no, like, this will always be in my mind, is like, just let me do this. Like, they would say, he was like, no, he's holding me down, and he's just like, just let me do this. And because we're both children, oh my god, fucked up. Anyways, I guess in some way I had my power in the way of saying, get off me. Like, I'm telling if you don't get off me, I'm gonna tell our parents. That freaked him out. I'm gonna tell our parents. So we ran inside, I ran inside, and everyone's just like, the immediate response was, what are you guys doing inside? Like, go. He trailed back later, he's probably scared, and just like, what are you doing inside? Like, go back outside. Like, just that. And I think my mom knew something was off, but again, she didn't say anything. She just had my sister not that long ago. I want to say this is spring 2001. Spring 2001. And I just remember just being enraged. Now I can understand it a bit more, because I didn't understand what just happened, but I was enraged that I had this fucking trauma, because now I know I had something I had to like work through, and that this was not gonna just go away. And it didn't. But he just comes in, and he's just like overzealous, and like, he's probably scared shitless. And I'm doing a puzzle. I start doing a puzzle, and he just like comes over and just takes over, and it's like starts doing the puzzle. And I think he asked me, do you tell them? And I was like, no. And I'm like, can you go away? Like, I'm getting mad. I was like, I don't want you to do this puzzle with me, obviously. But like, he just comes in and am I on an ant's nest? Sorry. Just starts bombarding me, and like, all up in my energy and my space. And like, my aunt's like, just let him join you. Like, let him help. And I'm like, that's what I remember most. And I just being so angry. I think my mom knew internally, but she didn't do it. Like, I think she knew. And I remember like, my stepdad's also someone that abused me, not sexually, though there was some inappropriateness, but I remember him later. I didn't think my cousin shouldn't have had to be forced to do that puzzle with my cousin, and I was just like, yeah, no shit, like, or that it was weird that he wanted to come over and like take over my puzzle. And I was like, yeah, I just didn't say anything because I had this, but now I'm saying it, and I'm putting this online, and it's out there, and anyone who sees my face and knows it, yes, this happened. So yeah, incest. There's shame around incest, and I think it happens way more than we would like to admit. That's pretty much the most of the story, because it just went away. And this is also something I started wanting. It took a while, like years. But I also had another trauma the following year that's really big, and I'll talk about that in a separate video. But I wanted to hang out with him. Isn't that funny? I think because of how ignored I was, I had another traumatic event happen, and my mom and stepdad at the time, they had another child, and I just was, and other things, like, I was just so thrown away that I think part of me wanted that overly seen, not the experience, but just I don't know what that was, or maybe that was me being attracted to it because of wanting to heal. Like, it's just magnetic, I would say, not attracted. It's like this magnetic And then after that, he had wanted nothing to do with me, which is so interesting. Like, isn't that funny? I'm still processing some of that part. Because I don't know why I visited one time late. I gave him my fucking Pokemon card collection. I don't know why. I was like, I don't want this. I'm not a baby anymore. I don't know what the fuck. He didn't even want them. Yeah, I had a shiny Charizard. Yeah, would have been worth a lot. I had mint condition. I had Mew from the movie that they gave you that special Pokemon card. It's interesting how traumas show up and like what energies you're more attracted to, or like what, even those same people, especially when it's family, you're forced to see these people. Sometimes people in your family will take initiative, sometimes mostly they won't. I know I'm not the only person this has happened to, especially like I'm a prime example. Both my parents were sexually abused by their uncles. I don't know to a degree or how many times, but yeah, it's clearly in my family lineage. This is, I think, a different experience and trauma because we're both children, and he was younger than me too. Like, it's just very, that might be less common, but I don't think so in some degree. I think his was provoked through his own trauma, and I hope he really does acknowledge it, because he does deserve it to heal as well. We all do. But yeah, it's my story to tell. It was my experience. It's my truth, and I hope it helps you anyone else. I hope it helps you guys also. Just sit with yourself and be kinder, and understand that maybe some of your choices or experience in your life are a result of something like this or something different. That's not necessarily who you are as a whole. It's not who you are as a whole. It's not who you are at the core either. And you are powerful, and you are loved, and you are wanted, and I see you, and I hear you, and I'm here with you. And each day is a day where you work towards peace and inner harmony, and that's the focus. Is not just sometimes justice, yes, but sometimes we're not going to get justice on the outside, and sometimes the justice is just being able to wake up and not forget, but it just not be existing inside of you anymore, where you can think back and be like, wow, I experienced that, but like, I'm not experiencing life with that. That's what I hope for everyone. And the more we talk about things, the more we can heal ourselves and empower ourselves, and I think prevent other situations. So like I mentioned, some of this, another thing I'm going to do, I'm going to pause it. I'm going to do a little section where I put signs and preventatives. And yes, there's signs for your own child, which would be classic, like starting to explore that area that isn't normal for children, because we haven't gone through puberty. When you go through puberty is when that chakra is open. Before puberty, there shouldn't be any really here and there. But if it's like, if there's shame, if there's a hiding, I think that's a bit different, and you know what, a parent who isn't ignoring their kid or would rather be somewhere else or is focused on other things may not even take the time to even think about this or even think about it. But like, if that's someone with you, if you're like, wow, I really don't have tabs on my kid, yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to recall a difference in pattern or not, but for me, yeah, that definitely came up. Depression for sure. Anger, outbursts, exactly, even about something else, like there's something more. And I remember my mom asking me if something happened, because I think I kind of started touching myself or whatever. Yeah, I did, and like aggressively. I remember I had to go to like a doctor because my mom was like, what's going on? But I didn't tell the doctor, and I was really angry. I was like, you can't look at, that's my special area, you can't go there or look there. And I remember the doctor telling my mom, well, she seems quite like adamant that that's not okay, so probably nothing happened. And my mom, I think, was concerned. I remember her being like, yeah, exactly, because like I wasn't like that. I like to be naked and free, and now I was angry. So I think my mom knew. I think she just didn't know what to do. And maybe I have to forgive her as well. You know, your child's not going to give you a direct answer. They're not going to say yes, because now they have this shame wound. They don't know what really shame is. And it's very deep. It's very strong. And if you're not parents who provided, you know, a space where your child is comfortable to be who they are, isn't always in trouble, isn't always doing something wrong, you know, generally has your attention and your time, this is going to be hard. They probably, you know, they don't trust you. You're not a safe space, unfortunately. But if you are, at least to the best of your degree, I think starting with honestly just being honest in some ways, especially if you're someone that has experienced something similar, without going into great detail, you can kind of explain more about the feelings. Like, sometimes, you know, something happened to me, someone hurt me in a way where I had these feelings now, and it's not my fault. I didn't do that thing. I don't, you know, saying like, you don't need to hold those horrible feelings. If you cry and you tell me, it will help you feel better. It will help that pain go away. I think just acknowledging it, and instead of just being like, did someone hurt you? Did someone touch you? Like, it's more about the emotion. That's more of the event. They can't even process the event because it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense as an adult. Imagine being that child. Like, no. I think it's more about the emotional bodies, like what they're experiencing emotionally, because that's what we first really experience, is everything's senses and emotions, right? So I think that's definitely the way to have a child open up. And it might take a few times. It might take maybe drawing, you know, and just doing something where they're focused on something else, like drawing, and maybe they'll start drawing things and expressing things like that. And then the other signs is like, and preventatives, hopefully, is if you, like for my case, it was my cousin, and like I said, he stopped, like besides when we were like 3, you know, like toddlers or before school age, after that, he wanted nothing to do with me. I wasn't cool. I was a girl, etc., etc. Like, if you start seeing someone like that, even if like a friend's kid or something, whoever, and they just start taking interest, they want to be alone with that person. Yeah, they're just showing interest. Like, that's a big red flag. If it goes from someone not caring to being like just showing so much attention to that kid, that's the red flag. That's the red flag. And being alone. You know, like, don't push your children away. Don't force them to be alone with other children. I know it sucks. I know it's hard, but like, you're really only parenting children for a short period of time, depending on how many you have. But you're gonna know them longer as an adult than they will a child. So like, yeah, you might not get to hang out with other adults. You might have your kid hang all over you or whatever, and it's not as fun and social, but maybe your child doesn't get raped. So yeah, those are some of the signs of preventives. Definitely, it's more about the other children, being observant of the other children that are recurring in your children's life. How are they responding? Have they changed? Have they changed around your child? If there's anything else I can think of, I'll include that. But honestly, if you know, I hope that this reaches the people it needs to. I hope this helps heal me. I'm just going to start using my voice more and speaking truths. And I don't exactly know what this channel is fully. I think it might be a few different things, but right now this is what it is, because that's what I need. And if anyone else has experienced this, please like make your own videos or do your own healing or comment or whatever, you know, just starting that conversation. You don't even have to say what, you could just say me too, you know, and we'll realize we're not alone and we don't have to be, and can empower ourselves. So thank you so much to anyone who's watching this, and you are worth it and you are loved. Bye.